Hey, Natsu here. Today I'm going to start a new what if. It is going to be what if Deku had generator Rex's power from the show titled Generator Rex. Yeah, sorry, I'm a French speaker normally, and that type of word is even hard for me when I'm speaking French, so yeah. Okay, so in this one, Deku is born physically as a normal baby. Well, from what people can see on the outside. There is a small difference though. On the inside, at an extremely small level, Deku has thousands, if not millions, of tiny little robots in his body. His body is producing it both naturally, like his they come from directly his body, but also from something else. Precisely 6 other machines, which are the Omega. So, Rex only had one, and he had an almost constant input of them, to the point of having, a huge amount of them. He could make many builds. But right now, this one, Deku, has 6 of them, which is huge, because that means the input in his body of new nanites is pretty much, 6 times bigger than what Rex had. Plus his body makes some naturally, not a huge amount, but still does some. Other thing is that Deku also have, thanks to those nanites, a small increase in strength, speed, stamina, and resistance. Strength, speed, defense, and stuff like that, as well as being able to heal about 30% faster than normal people. So, Deku basically, over his childhood, until he's 4, basically just seems like a normal kid that basically just kind of heals a bit faster than normal. So nobody really pays mind to that. Some people still think it's a quirk, which yes it is, nanite. So, basically until Bakugo awakens his quirk, then they basically go to see what Deku's quirk is. Which they tell them that he does have a quirk, and what it is, basically that he has millions of tiny little robots inside of him. They don't know about the Omegas, because, taking blood, they would see the nanites, but if they were able to take an Omega, that would mean he would have one less. So, I'm still leaving him with the 6 ones. So they basically think his body just produced them naturally, which he does. So, basically what happens after that is Deku still gets bullied. Just not nearly as much by Bakugo. Because at least he does have a quirk that does increase his strength, speed, and regenerative capacity. But it's not really flashy like his. So Bakugo still bullies him. Over time, Bakugo does start to tolerate Deku a bit. Still bullies him a lot, but basically he's just a tiny bit less hard on him. Simply because over time he is getting a bit stronger. Until he's almost 9. Him and Inko go to the beach. Where this is going to take a bit of a dark turn. What do I mean by this? You're going to see. So, while being at the beach, Deku basically makes a friend. Her name is Momo Yaoyorozu. So, basically, they presented themselves. Izuku Midoriya, Momo Yaoyorozu. They played together for a while, with Inko and Momo's father basically talking together, since the other kids are playing together, so they're still watching over them. Until two villains basically arrive. Both of them have quirks that are mutation. They can control and are their own element. One is the water element, and the other one is sand. So, both of them basically are fighting because they're saying that, no, I'm stronger than you, you're just that, I can beat you easily, and basically just continue like that. Everyone starts running away. Momo trips. After tripping, the two villains basically get ready to fight, and she's kind of in the middle of this. Deku sees that and basically doesn't want it to happen, and basically goes to help her. Basically not even kind of realizing his body's moving on its own. So Deku's basically just running. Inko basically screaming at him to come back and running to after him. Sandman and Hydro Man, that's the name I'm going with, because they were inspired by, well, Hydro Man and Sandman. So basically they attack, and Momo's in the way. Deku sees it, and basically that's why he ran, and all he wanted to do was to protect her. Which is when his first build happened. He does, for the first time, the giant hand. He's able to block the attacks thanks to that, basically saving her. She's about to say thank you when, basically after that, they kind of just look at the two kids and they literally don't care and basically just move to another place to not be, bothered by something. So those kids. And while that's happening, Deku's and basically destroy themselves, literally breaking apart, leaving place to his real hand. Momo's about to say thank you when suddenly Deku starts screaming. And not something pleasant. Deku is screaming his lungs out. While that's happening, Momo basically starts to run because, well, she got scared. But Inko tried to go to Deku to basically ask him what was wrong. But for Deku, his mind was going blank. His memories were getting erased. His life was getting erased. He wasn't able to control anything, and it just hurt everywhere. His body started to produce a huge amount of machines. Inko basically couldn't get away since she was literally on him, was just pushed on the ground, until Deku basically, while transforming, kind of rolled over her. Which is the dark part of this. He killed Inko by accident, which nobody really saw, simply because what they're looking at is a kid transforming and screaming in pain. Hydro Man and Sandman basically just kind of hears the scream, look at Deku, and basically starts freaking out because, oh shit. After basically Deku's full transformation, he basically, just like the original, goes after, well, just like Rex did, basically just goes on a rampage. And the two things that are straight in front of him are Hydro... Sorry about that. The things that are in front of him are Hydro Man and Sandman. He basically goes apeshit on them. Even with their powers, they basically just kind of get overwhelmed at some point. They're not able to continue fighting. He's just too strong. Basically, after a certain amount of time, they're trying to work together to beat him, until a hero arrives. All Might, to be more precise. So, All Might basically arrives and sees, well, two people made, respectively, well, three people, one made of sand, one made of water, and one made of metal. The metal one isn't basically all three of them are giants, and he goes to basically stop the fight, because he's just thinking those are three villains. Until Momo basically grabs his leg. Before he jumps, he looks down, sees Momo, and she tells him that the metal one is just a kid, he lost control of his quirk, please help him, which prompted All Might basically just kind of think of how to do this, and he decides to knock out the kid, and then arrest the two others. So that's basically what he does. With All Might being pretty strong, I'm going to say he's kind of able to just jump, and he basically does a smash on Deku's giant robot head. Doesn't do that much, so he goes back, this time going 100%, and is able to knock out Deku. Deku's robot parts, basically just after he's put on the ground, they literally just start to decompose, well, destroy themselves, leaving behind, well, a huge amount of metal scraps, and a kid. After the villains were arrested and Deku was basically checked to be brought to the hospital, they're looking for Inko, which they find her smushed. Like, there's no other way to say it. She's been crushed. And Momo and her dad basically goes to the hospital with him, simply because, well, at least to have someone he kind of knows around, since they, Momo and Deku were playing together. At the hospital, they basically learned that there's no one in Deku's family that are that are around, which basically makes Momo ask her dad if they could do anything to basically help him, because, well, if he has no family, what can he do? So Momo's dad basically says that they're going to see how the situation goes, and that depending on what happens, they're going to see what they can do. Problem is, when Deku woke up, he kind of didn't have any of his memory back. He literally forgot everything, just like Rex. So, Deku killed his mom. Everyone just knows he was crushed, so they don't know if he did it. Some people are thinking that it was him because, yeah, she basically got close to her son and they found her dead. So, after learning that, Momo's dad basically decided to, since he didn't have any family and that they're basically the first people that he saw after waking up, he decided to actually try to, he actually decided to adopt Deku, which Momo basically was happy about. And then they just kind of told Deku, what they knew, and that he basically tried to save her before basically turning. So they told him about the giant robots, they told him about his power, they told him that when they were at the beach he had his mom with, but she's dead. Basically making him kind of feel bad because he's thinking that he should be sad, but from all he learned, he's more stressed, surprised, and doesn't know how to think, instead of being sad, simply because he didn't really know her, to be honest. Well, he doesn't know her. He knew her before, but now everything's gone. So they told him that, Momo's dad told him that they were adopting him. And basically, I don't remember if Yajirozu is the family name or Momo. But yeah, since they know Deku's first name, they basically kept that. So his name is or Izuku Momo or Izuku Yajirozu. Pretty sure it's Izuku Momo, but still, I'm just going to call him Izuku or Deku. All Might didn't think of giving him one for all in that moment. Actually, he's not even going to get it in the before the 10 months of training. Actually, you're going to see if he gets it. That's going to be a surprise. So, after basically being adopted, he was changed school to basically go to a school with Momo, to at least have someone he knows, well, kind of knows, with her, well, with him all the time. So both of them have pretty much the same type of intelligence, except that they are a bit more intelligent than in canon, simply because the two of them together, basically, they tried to overdo the other one. Basically, sibling rivalry, because they basically act like that at first. So, during that time, he learned to control his quirk a bit more, and between that time and before the 10 months of training, Deku is able to make his giant hand, which he calls Smash Hand, the giant feet, which he calls Smash Boots. After that, there's the sword, which he just kind of called the Slicer, as well as the shield, which he just calls the Shield. So, also, another thing that he does, since he grew with Momo, and that her quirk is creation, he was basically thinking, I can make those with my quirk, and if I want to, I can separate them from my body afterward. Would it be possible for me to create stuff, basically, that I would leave out of my body? Because he was told afterward, like, about the nanites and everything like that. So, he kind of knows that most of the things he would be able to create are metal. He was basically told by a doctor for that part, as well as being told to Momo and her dad. Well, her family. So, he is able to make different objects in this one. Basically, think of what we saw in, I don't remember which episode it was, of Generator Rex, where he basically makes parts of machines. He separates them from his body and they basically work. So he is able to make small machines. He knows he can control them as well, because it kind of went with it. So he can make small machines, or stuff in metal. The stuff he creates the most are basically swords or staff that he basically trains with Momo to use. So both of them are pretty strong physically, and they know many ways, well, they are able to fight using different weapons. Deku is able to create stuff that are metal. So, swords are easy, staffs basically made of metal. But he wouldn't be able to create stuff like Momo does. Which, they basically get that, so he doesn't really try. Yes, that would be funny, but he knows he can't. Also, during all of that time, the 6 Omega are pretty much just being Omegas and just creating more and more nanites. At some point, he's going to make builds that are basically getting stronger thanks to that. But yeah, because remember, 6 is pretty much a lot. Which means that one that can produce all of the nanites that Rex was using. Deku has 6 times that, and then some, because his body also produced some. So yeah, basically, he's able to create a lot of stuff. So, that's basically how the dynamic is until they are 14, and they basically just kind of go to the old neighborhood of Deku. Not for something specific, just because Deku basically asked, well, multiple times he wanted to go there, multiple times he went. Basically, it's to help to see if he can get his memory back from that. So they basically know where he lived before, and this was basically one of the many times he went there. But today is special. Today is the day of the Sludge villain attack. Without Deku to basically intercept him in the tunnel, he goes straight to someone else, since he didn't stop, so All Might didn't catch up to him. He went and found Bakugo a bit earlier. All Might lost all of the time he had, so he couldn't really arrest him. Well, stop the Sludge villain. He was basically in panic because, well, a kid's going to die. Deku and Momo were passing by that part. And they're basically thinking that a hero has to do something, until Deku sees something. It's a familiar face that he doesn't know why, but the moment he saw it, he just started running. Heroes and Momo started screaming at him to come back, but Deku wasn't hearing them. All that was in his mind is, why do I remember that face? Why does it make me angry? Why does it make me happy? Why can't I remember where? What's happening? Until he realized he's running. And in the single moment he realized that, he basically starts thinking straight and makes his smash hands and basically digs straight through the Sludge villain, grabbing Bakugo's arm and pulling him out fully. The Sludge villain, basically annoyed, basically told him to move out of the way, tried to grab Deku, but All Might, seeing the bravery in this, went and transformed again beyond his limits. And after using the smash, he took a good look at Deku and remembered the face and the hair. After Deku basically stopped being yelled at by the heroes, he basically looked at Bakugo and said, "Do you know me?" Which Bakugo basically just kind of looked at him, and at the same time, two voices were heard. Bakugo asking, "Deku?" and Momo screaming, "Izuku!" and basically punching him on the head. Bakugo didn't even have time to react after hearing that, and Momo basically started screaming at him and dragging him, which he said, sorry sis, yeah, I'm coming. Reason he's calling her sis is literally because, well, for about 5 years they grew up as siblings. They know they're not siblings, so over time they kind of developed another type of feeling towards each other. So yeah, basically they kind of love each other, but they don't say it right now. Reason for that is because they don't know if the other one feels the same way or if they only feels as sibling. So for now, it kind of stays in the dark for that. But yeah, All Might tries to go and catch up to them, but they kind of leave. He goes to find Bakugo then, to basically ask him, do you know where that kid went? I wanted to talk to him. Bakugo said he doesn't know where he is, or where he went. Then All Might asked him if he knew him. He seemed concerned, which Bakugo said that he doesn't know. He had there was a kid a long time ago that kind of had the same hair, but it was way too different. He was way too different, it couldn't be him. Which All Might said, it's fine. So he basically told him bye and left. Bakugo trains basically like normal. Basically, Bakugo is fully normal. He's the exact same as his counterpart, except that he's a bit more humble. Reason for that is that he learned that Deku's mom died, and that he was adopted by another family, and basically wasn't even in the area anymore. So he basically kind of just wasn't really affected in the way that, oh, it's my fault. It's more that he kind of just realized that different things could have happened. So it's basically more of a try to at least make friends instead of just think of yourself as the best. Like, try to find friends to basically make sure that if something happens to you or your parents, you have someone to go to that you know. Because Deku was literally thrown in to a family that he didn't know, even though he didn't know anyone by this point. So Bakugo kind of just changed like that from the original, but he's exactly the same if we don't count that small change, which isn't really big. So this is where I'm going to stop part 0. Later I'm going to do part 1, which is going to take the 10 months of training, as well as the entrance exam. So, hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. If you have any questions or any comments, leave them in the comment section. I read pretty much everything. So, if you have any questions, I'm going to try and answer them. If you have any comments about how I could improve some of my videos, or if you have any what ifs you would like me to try and do, just tell me there. I'm also going to put a link to my Discord in the description. Come and join us if you want to. It's pretty fun. So yeah, Natsu out.